Today on our show, we have our very first consumer, and her name is Kayla. Welcome to Beyond the Head Start.
Hi, thank you.
Do you know you are one of the reasons why we have this show?
Oh, no, that's awesome.
So I called you up. We scheduled to do a course. Kayla bought a few toppers from our site, and I was really curious. I wanted to know. I want to Yuma. I want to see what they think of us and the product, and learn a bit about them. And I think Kayla, you're one of five people called, and everyone I spoke to, especially you, it was like we were just talking for like I think 45 minutes went by. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we were talking about all kinds of things. You're telling me about your journey, and I was so captivated. I was like, gosh, I think I may have said at the end of it, I was like, I wish we had that recorded.
Yeah, I think you did.
So here we are. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you asked me to join, and I'm excited to kind of share what I've learned in the last few years.
You're going to help a lot of people, a lot of people. And just so you know, right, this recording has no video. And the reason is because I asked Kayla, I said, Kayla, can I interview you? I'd love to interview you. And Kayla's very, very busy. She's rocking it in the business world. We're going to hear about that in a sec. And she said no. Then I came back and I said, Kayla, how about if we don't do video? And then she said yes, right?
Yeah, I'm still not comfortable socially with people knowing that I wear hair. So it's a newer thing for me, and I would feel better just keeping it to myself at this time. And that's why I look for really super realistic products, I think, because I don't feel comfortable with people knowing that I'm wearing hair. So I want it to look like me.
Got it. You are in the majority by far. I mean, it's like the whole reason why we do this. It's like, we want to have most of the women I speak to, they say, I just want to look like me. I want to have the exact same hair color I had before, the same hair length. Totally, everyone is at their different part of the journey, whatever the journey is. I got to tell you, you've helped me so much, so much. I can't wait to get into this. Kayla, I want to know, when was the starting point when you thought, okay, when you started to look at your hair, think about maybe alternative hair, or was there a visit to a doctor's, or what was the starting point for you?
Well, I've always had very thin, fine hair. I've always wanted to have hair extensions, but my hair was too thin and fine to wear them. A few years ago, I had some injuries and I lost maybe half or two-thirds of my hair. So it became extremely thin. And my aunt told me that my other aunt had been wearing a hair topper, and I had never heard of a hair topper. I experimented with wigs a little bit and they were just uncomfortable for me. They probably were not expensive wigs and it didn't look like me. The idea of a hair topper was intriguing. I did some research. I started following some YouTube people and I ended up having a consultation with one of them, Lacey, and she recommended a few toppers for me. I started with one from, I think, Uniwigs. I was directed by Lacey to go look at Dimples. So I purchased a Dimples topper and I took them to my stylist and had her color them and cut them and try to look, like me. We had a lot more luck with the Dimples topper than we did with the Uniwigs. And it was really great to be able to not have my hair up in a hat and just kind of feel like I had probably more hair than I had before I was injured. So, it was just a great feeling.
So you said you were injured a few years ago and you lost two-thirds of your hair from the injury.
I would say I had a few injuries back to back, and each one I lost part of my hair, not in a particular place, but just overall it was falling out. And then I got hurt again and I had, more hair falling out. And so, yeah, it hasn't really regrown, even though I've been, healed for over a year. I mean, it's still really pretty thin.
Were those like physical injuries to your body, or
Yes, yes. I have some extreme sports that I enjoy, and those you end up with extreme injuries if you don't do
oh
them perfectly every time.
my
So, yeah.
goodness, I'm so excited. What extreme sports do you do?
I'm a rock climber, a skier, and a mountain biker.
What?
So I had an injury to my ankle, not a horrible injury, but not a great injury. And then I was skiing and my ankle wasn't fully healed, and I broke my shoulder and my other ankle and
Holy moly.
did some rib damage, and then I had a problem with my other shoulder also. So this was like in a 2.5 year span, kind of one after the other. So yeah, that's why I have not very much hair anymore.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. So, first ankle, was it left or right?
Left ankle, I ruptured the
Uh huh.
ligaments. I couldn't, pursue my activities for a good 6 months. And then I started skiing when it was still probably a little weak, which I think led to that big injury. So.
And then what was the shoulder injury? Which shoulder was the first shoulder injury, and what was it?
So while I was injured with the ankle, I was trying to stay fit in the gym climbing, and I tore my labrum in my right shoulder, which is fine. You can, live with that. And I didn't want to do surgery, so I just rehabbed it. And then I fell and broke my left shoulder and fractured my right ankle.
Wow. Okay. So left ankle. I feel like I'm like in the doctor in the hospital, and I've got that like checklist at the bottom of your bed, and you're like wrapped up in bandages. I'm like looking at all the things. So left ankle was a ruptured something or other, right?
Ligament,
Ligament.
yeah, I didn't just sprain it, I ruptured that ligament.
Then you tore the laoribim in your shoulder,
Labrium,
labrium in your shoulder. Okay, and then
your labrum, yeah.
and then you fractured your other ankle
And my other
and your
shoulder,
other
yeah.
shoulder. Was it your right shoulder? Was the last one you'd injured?
That was in the middle. That was the torn labrum. Yeah, and my orthopedic guy that I would go to after every injury, I mean, I would call and they'd say, "Oh, hey, Kayla, how are you? What'd you do this time?" So, yeah.
Kayla, I can totally relate. I used to be an extreme sports person.
Oh, okay.
Big time. I mean, 100-mile bike rides, mountain biking, skiing. I've had more concussions, as funny as it sounds, than I can remember. I don't even know how many concussions I've had. One, I was dragged on the back of one of those ski mobiles, on the sledge, and they stop in front of all the restaurants, and they're like, what happened to this guy? Shattered right collarbone from mountain biking, 15 screws and a plate the size, I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 inches long still in me. 3 broken noses, broken wrist, broken hand, other hand from road biking, fractured ankle, fingers, toes. I mean, what else? Oh, scars. I'll show you on the video. You can see kind of see that's my scar on my collarbone. And then right under it, I can't get any close because I'm going to knock my microphone that side. Oh yeah, right there, I got car doored by I think it was a Postmates delivery. I can imagine the ankle because it's used so much and there's so many small bones. It's probably kind of like the wrist. It takes a very long time to heal.
Yeah.
And my
I am terrified of that collarbone injury on a mountain bike. I've been over the bars once. I took up mountain biking when I was recovering from all the stuff because I felt like it would be a little easier to do with some injuries. I went over the bars once and I landed on my feet, but I am terrified of that injury that you had because that's so common with mountain biking, right? So you took it hard, huh?
very hard. What is behind this for me? And I want to ask for you. I know for me. So these extreme sports you're doing, are you going at a leisurely pace, or are you recording your time? You're shaking your head, everybody who's listening to this. She's shaking her head. Are you trying to beat personal records or using apps to capture your progress? What's going on? What are you doing? Are you
No, I really just enjoy the speed and adrenaline for skiing, and then the adrenaline for rock climbing of, trying not to die every time you're out there on the side of a cliff and don't make a mistake. So it's the adrenaline, and yeah, I just enjoy that.
my brother, he is a rock climber, a cyclist. He's still in really good shape. He's like 4.5 years older than me. He looks great. He's doing jujitsu, fighting now. We've got these rings in our office, like he's got the climbing things, for your fingers in his office, the pull up thing. He was extreme too, but maybe not as extreme as me with the speed. We were always racing against personal records and stuff. I read this line in this book called The Power of Now, by Eckhart Tolle. And that line was for us. That line, it said something like, there are people who do extreme sports that's like near death, like on the edge of a mountain, mountain biking, rock climbing, all this stuff, whatever. People who do extreme sports, they feel, even though they're like bombing down the mountain of it, they feel present when they're doing it.
Yeah.
It's like
You can't think about anything else because if you do, you're gonna
you
crash. So it really makes you present. I
you're dead.
agree.
Like if I'm going to think about what I'm going to order on Amazon later, that's it. Another
Yeah.
concussion,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So that, yeah. So do you relate with that? Is it partly why you do it?
Yeah, that's all of why I do it, just to get out of my own head and be super focused on something and present. Yeah.
So I know this must sound crazy. Like actually, when I'm talking about it, so you go and hang on the side of a mountain, go racing down with an injured ankle, skiing speeds that most people probably wouldn't do to feel peace.
Right. Yeah, and fun. The skiing thing is really just fun, I feel like, and I have to go fast to have fun.
Hmm.
But I don't have to be 100% present for skiing the way I feel like I am with climbing. So with climbing, you really have to focus, or I really have to focus, I think. But I don't know. Skiing is just fun.
What kind of climbing do you do?
It's free climbing with ropes. I like multi-pitch, trad. That's kind of my thing, but I do a little bit of all of it. I'm still not where I was before, and I don't know if I ever will be where I was before. I'm in my 50s now, so I'm not going to heal the way that, I would have if I had done this 20 years ago, but I can ski. I'll be able to ski
I
forever.
guarantee you're still destroying people 20 years younger than you on the mountain.
I don't.
Definitely.
Maybe the ones that are, on the couch.
Nah, I'm sure you're destroying plenty. Yeah, I love this notion of having to do something so extreme, so dangerous to feel present.
Yeah, and I feel bad for people that don't get to have that experience. Or maybe they just feel present all the time in
Mm.
whatever they're doing, but if they don't, they don't know what they're missing. Like it's
The adrenaline rush definitely releases endorphins in the brain for sure. So, what on earth do you do when you can't do that now that if you're sidelined with injuries?
it was a really hard 3 years,
Mhm.
really, really hard. But I went out and skied even though I probably wasn't ready to do that. And I got in some good skiing before I got hurt again. And then I skied last year too. So it's really the climbing that's been the setback. And I bike. It's all right. Climbing's my biggest passion, and that's the one that's going to take the longest. But being in like a wheelchair for a couple of months or whatever, you kind of go crazy. But you know that. So,
So,
so you're done with your extreme sports? You said you used to.
yeah, kind of, it was really mountain, but I rock climbed a little bit. I'm definitely not a rock climber. I went a few times. I'm terrified of heights. I get the shakes. However, I used to think of it as a bonus to get more of a high. I was like, all right, I get to get more of a high than everyone else. So I'd skydive. I did two jumps, and I went off the second biggest bungee jump in the world in Australia, and the biggest bungee jump in the world in South Africa, at Storms River off a bridge. The second biggest, actually, no, was in New Zealand off a cable car. I mean, both times I just crumbled, and it was always me like trying to conquer fear. But just to answer your question about, and I don't do extreme sports anymore. I'm glad you said that because I'm gonna have on the show one of these days a man. I'm gonna put it out there because I know it's gonna happen. A guy called Jeff Kober, and he taught me how to meditate about 7 years ago. Made it a Vedic meditation, and I started doing that meditation course religiously. Actually, I just meditated right before this interview, 20 minutes twice a day. And I stopped needing that high. I remember going mountain biking with my friends, and I was like riding, and I was like, something feels different. I'm like, I don't feel like going as fast. I'm like, I think I'm done. Yeah, and everyone was like, "What? Oh, so you stopped because you shattered your collarbone and you had all that blood down your back from the other one when you hit that tree and blah blah." So I was like, "No, I just I don't know, I don't find it exciting anymore. So I wouldn't give away meditation if, someone paid me a lot of money. I gotta have it. I definitely put on a lot more weight though. I don't move as much. I mean, it was everything I did and still do in some ways is very extreme, cycling and all that. So how was the accident? Was there a correlation with the hair loss?
Yeah, so within a week or two, I started noticing that my hair was really falling out. And that's happened to me before when I've had any kind of real physically stressful event. So yeah, it just started coming out and it probably fell out for 6 months after the first one, and then 6 months after the second one, and then, same. And each time I would lose, maybe a third, and then I had that much less to lose. And I remember going to my hairdresser and she went to cut it and she said, Kayla, there's like nothing back here. Like you don't really have hardly anything left to cut. And that's when I realized, wow, like it's really bad.
Mm.
So, and then it was shortly after that that my aunt told me about toppers. So it worked out.
So you said you had a physical stress event in the past, and that first time you lost some hair, and then you had this physical event. Was that physical event to do with extreme activities or sports?
Yeah, I think I just pushed myself too hard a couple of times where, I would have a headache and take a couple days where I needed to recover because I just pushed too much, maybe in the heat or whatever else. And then I would lose hair for maybe a week or two. And that was kind of common for me. But then it would grow back and I would try to be careful to not push too hard. You know how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, you are as I remember from our call, you work many hours a week as well.
I do. In the last 3 years, I've been busier with work. It just sort of organically, my business grew during that time. So I had more free time before when I had things to do. And then when I didn't have things to do, I had more work. So it balanced itself pretty well.
How many hours a week do you work? Can you share with us?
It could be 40 or 60 or 80. It just kind of depends. I have my own business and it depends on the sales and how it flows. So when we're busy, we're busy.
Whoa, 80
Hmm.
hours, 60 hours. And
It could be. I mean, I'm sure you're the same, right?
Not as much anymore. I've got a 6 month old at home and a 3 year old, and I'm getting into work later. I'm leaving later.
Good.
I said, I'm leaving
Good.
at 5 o'clock. And my wife's like, it's late. Come on. Every day I get a text saying, come home early every day. So
Yeah.
I haven't been doing those hours like starting at 6 a.m. I haven't been. I've got the team's great. We've got a good team. But yeah, I mean,
But
I
you did
oh yeah, yeah,
that and when you needed
of
to. Yeah.
course. And if I need to, I mean, honestly, all I want to do are these interviews. This is my thing now. you know, I,
Oh,
I could
good.
I could do 60 hours a week, but I mean, there's a pile of admin I just don't want to touch. It's just like
Yeah, I hear
I
you.
moved it to another room. I was like, I don't want to look at it anymore.
That's the worst thing about owning a business is, you have to do all of that stuff along with your actual job. So,
Yes, exactly. Can I ask you what is your business if you're able to share with us?
software development.
Ah, wow. What kind of
So,
software?
consulting. We do data conversions. My company does data conversions. So, just, one of those little niche places.
That's very niche. That's
Yeah,
an billable hourly kind of job, right?
it
So very
is.
time
Yeah, for
consuming.
sure.
Wow, very technical. Good for you. Good
Hmm.
for you.
Yeah.
So I've never heard a story like this. Extreme sports, physical physical stressful events, and having hair loss as a result. Like what's going on when you're having those physically stressful events? It seems like it's after the physical event. It's like in the recovery or the injury time. It's not actually while you're doing the sports, or is it just exhaustion? What's going is it
I don't know. I think it's always been sort of a clue that my body is trying to give me to not go quite so hard. So I'm probably depleting, you know. I don't know. It's been my thing. But I've always had really thin fine hair, so maybe that's kind of my path of least resistance for when I do have
Mm,
stress uh, to lose hair.
yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm. Wow, fascinating. So, are you doing any physical extreme sports now, or are you still in?
I'm just getting back into climbing. This summer, I've been able to climb a little bit. I'm not where I was, but I'm getting there. And I skied all winter. We had a really good winter, a lot of snow. So
Where? What state do you live in?
I live in northern Nevada,
Ah,
so in the Tahoe area.
do you gamble as well for fun, or is that just a
No,
tour? That's just a
no.
touristy thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
I used to play a little poker, but I don't
really?
anymore. Yeah. It's kind of an extreme sport in a way. Extreme mental, but you get that adrenaline.
Oh yeah.
So,
Is that like when if you're injured, you play poker, or just
no, I did that a long time ago. Just, I don't know. I kind of was into it for a couple years,
are there
but
are there any other fun hobbies like that that are like you know?
no, I don't think so. Not right now.
So
I
go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say I probably need something else, something a little milder. I wish I would do yoga and, I wish I liked to walk or hike or, just the milder, healthier sports, but I have no interest.
It's
So
too slow.
it's
It's
too
too
slow.
slow. I used to think, what's the point in hiking? If I'm going to be on the mountain, I may as well take my bike, get in some single track. Yeah. Oh wow, this is so cool. So extreme sports athlete, business owner, uh, 40 to 80 hours a week when the sales are, when it's a busy time, and you your two aunties told told you about toppers, and it was your hairdresser. Was it the was that the point when you where it was like the most apparent, that one visit to the
Yeah.
hairdresser?
Yeah. It was like, oh, what am I gonna do here? Am I gonna shave my head? Am I going to cut my hair super, super short, which is going to look probably worse? Um, and then, I mean, I think I probably told my mom, and she probably said, I think my sister said that, Auntie is wearing this hair topper thing. And so I did a search for hair toppers and no, I've always asked my hairstylist, can I wear extensions? Like, is there any way we can do hair extensions? I probably bring it up every couple of years to whoever I'm seeing. And it's always been, no, your hair is too thin, it would show through. Um, and so I wish that someone would have told me about it, but they didn't know. I mean, I think a lot of hairstylists don't know about it, and the one that I see now, had never heard of it either. So, fortunately, a little bit of research on the internet, and here we are.
So you got your hairstylist, which sounds like she was a traditional, but I'm sure very special hairstylist that cuts and colors bio hair, and sweeps the hair off the floor. Okay, bye, have a nice day. Next, it's like constantly busy. You got her into education, probably. You got her educated on toppers.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's really I'll buy a piece, I'll take it to her. We've got the color figured out now exactly. She'll color it and show her clients, and all of her clients are now super interested. Where did you buy your hair topper, and how does this work, and all of that. So she kind of leaves them out so that people can see them, and yeah, it's cool.
It
And she's really good at it. She's totally figured out how to cut them and how to color them. It's not that hard, but we kind of played with the first two Um, but they both turned out good, and now we have a system.
I love it how you say "we."
Yeah.
We have a system. We color. It's not that.
It's a joint effort, you
Yeah,
know?
that's so cool. So you're in there and you've experimented because a lot of stylists they try and they really I've heard of a lot of horror stories of toppers and wigs getting destroyed. Um oh yeah, like taking off too cutting too much off, using the wrong scissors, not angling it and there's a real it's a real fine art and a top level of education, a different another education that stylists, most stylists don't haven't yet done. It's different than extensions. At least if you can do extensions, you're kind of halfway there because it's the whole play between bio hair, like your hair that is at its natural color or maybe it's colored, how it reacts to color, and then there's hair on extensions or a topper that's really dead. It's not attached to a head anymore. It's not got any oils coming through it. So that's going to color differently and react differently. So I always say it's like they're like scientists or chemists, like with potions testing and because some different companies use different hair dyes and they react differently. So it's quite, it's, but you seem like you got a good one.
Yeah, I think so. And now, I exclusively buy Dimples pieces, and I think your quality is really consistent, so we can just use the same color every time. And really, the only reason that I keep buying them is my hair was a lot shorter when I started. So I have a short piece, and then, I decided, well, I'm just going to grow it longer and wear these pieces. So I want it to be a little longer so that they match. So then I bought the next piece, which was a little longer and then a little longer. So I have like four different lengths now, depending on how long I'm, wearing my hair, which is just going to go in a hat anyway if I'm not wearing a piece, probably.
Kayla, thank you so much for the kind words. For you viewers out there, I did not tell her to say that. She said that on her own.
Yeah.
Um,
I've done a lot of research and I've had a lot of toppers. I'm just gonna interrupt you and tell you, like, I've had a lot of toppers, and I've sent a lot of toppers back. So I kept the Uniwigs one that I bought because it was the first one and we played with it and it wasn't very expensive. I kept yours and I first bought a large, which was too much hair for me because I'm not used to having a lot of hair. So I loved all the hair, but it just didn't feel like me. So I ended up really loving the small. It just looks exactly like me. And my hairstylist always says, "Oh my God, you just can't tell. There's no way anybody's ever going to be able to tell." And I'm like, "I know you really can't tell." So I don't know where I was going with that, but I really encourage people, I think, to start with the small if you're not really sure about how much hair you want. And there's really a lot of coverage with it. Like I have such thin hair, but I can still wear a small. I guess if I was trying to look different than myself, then I would wear a large. And also the small is so incredibly light. I mean, the large is incredibly light too, but the small, like you just don't even know you're wearing it, and you don't get hot and you don't get annoyed. Um, like some of the other, topper caps and the construction, I feel like would be really hot. A couple that I've ordered and returned, I can't even imagine. Maybe in the dead of winter. But this is something you can wear anywhere, anytime. So you have a really great product, and I want to make sure that, because I did so much research and I feel like there's not really enough information out there. Um, I really want people to know that you have a great product.
oh, thank you so
So
much. That's really sweet.
yeah,
That really
yeah, you have a great cap. I mean, the hair is consistent. It's great. And the cap construction is, spectacular. So
thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, talking about cap construction, I'm discovering something because our toppers are all hand tied, which means handmade, and it means the knots are sewn in, and rather than a track of hair sewn in, multiple tracks of hair like extensions. Were you aware? I loved hearing your hours of research, probably many hours of research that you did. Were you aware of the different types of bases out there when you were doing research?
Yeah, I definitely was. It's talked about a lot, but I didn't really understand it until I had a super lightweight base in my hand versus, um, I don't know if you could even, I don't know if you can make that super lightweight base without hand tying it. I'm assuming you really can't, right? So, um, again, if you want a whole bunch of hair and you're going to wear it really long, then maybe that's not as important. I don't know. But if you're trying to look like yourself and you don't have really long natural hair, um, I think that hand tied makes all the difference. I don't know. And also because the cap is hand tied and so lightweight, it's so breathable. And I don't think you can get that with a machine, right? Like I've never seen that. Maybe you can, but I don't
It's
know.
not possible with the machine. No, with yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to both. There's pros to machine made too. Wefted and machine made.
What I mean, what? What would be the pro? I
um,
don't
that
know.
pros are,
More hair,
yeah, yeah, more hair. You can
cost.
have more hair coverage. Okay. It's cheaper to much cheaper to manufacture, way cheaper to manufacture. And one of the reasons why it's so much cheaper to manufacture machine made is because that technology, if you want to call it technology, has been around for decades and decades. And there's so many workers. It doesn't take much training to be able to sew a weft, a track of hair around a cap. It doesn't take so much, but to be able to do hand tied, there are so few hand tied workers out there. There are less and less hand tied wigs and toppers every year because a lot, this is real deep industry stuff, but we're going down here. A lot of the hand tied workers, they're very skilled with their hands. They're actually getting snatched up by like tech companies that pay more, that have other jobs that take a lot of skill with the hands. So it's really hard to hold on to these hand tied workers and to do consistent work. A lot of the hand tied work, I remember a few years ago, I noticed, I saw, and I heard in China, there were these Chinese factories. The hand tied portion of a cap, for instance, maybe you had the front portion was hand tied and the back was machine made on a wig. The hand tied portion was outsourced to a cheaper province that they would do that over there. Then they would do the machine made quickly in a factory, but then you weren't getting consistent results because it was different people working on it. And so anyway, machine made are great. Machine made toppers and wigs are great. They're cheap, they're affordable. Also, something that a lot of people don't realize is you don't need as long as hair to use with machine made. If I've got 14 inches, it's like the 14, I don't need any return hairs. There's no return because return hairs are there to tie the knot. You've got to have two like pieces of shoelace to tie. So those short hairs you see on a hand tied toppers that are 3, 4 to 5 inches, those are return hairs. But with wefts, um, a 14-inch topper machine made is 14 inches all over. The raw hair is 14 inches, but with a hand tied topper, the raw hair to begin with is like 17 inches. No, 14, 17 to 19 inches. So because you got to add for the return hairs. So um, they're good machine made wigs and toppers in some ways, but the hand tied, it's like I'm so glad we're talking about this because I don't think enough people know about it. Because when I think a lot of consumers really focus on the outside rather than looking on the inside. You seem like a very technical person. I can see you like holding it up to the light and really inspecting it, like what hair replacement studio owners do. Like if I ever show them a top or a wig, first of all, before I'm finishing my sentence, they snatch it out of my hand, and they they look at the inside. They never the first in detail, then they look at the outside. So
Yeah,
long answer, but anyway,
I can see that. I think that, you know, if you want to wear something on a regular basis and you want it to look like yourself, you just need to make the investment. It's like if you buy a whole bunch of clothes, but you don't have anything that you really like, you
yeah,
know, or you just buy that one outfit that you love and it's hair. So you get to wear it every single day. You don't want it to be different every day. So if you're looking for, you know, just a wig to go out in or a topper to look different for some particular occasion, then whatever, buy the cheap one. But if you're gonna wear it and try to look like yourself, then I think you gotta buy a quality piece.
yeah, I agree. And so it's very important as well when comparing. I I always say this to compare apples to apples. So if we're comparing pricing from one to another, even if it's a Dimples topper, if I've got something machine, I don't have any machine made toppers. Well, I had one, but we don't do it anymore. Long time ago. It's important to compare hair type, hair length, and then base construction. Then you've got an apples to apples, and then it's obvious if something is really expensive. If those three things are all the same, do you know what I mean?
I don't know anybody who even makes an all hand tied base. I mean, maybe there's somebody out there, but I everything that I've seen has been partially hand tied.
Yeah,
And then I've heard that, you know, it may not be the same hair between the hand tied portion and the wefted portion. So then when you go to color it, it's not going to necessarily give you the same result with the same colors. So that doesn't,
that's very interesting. I never heard that, but that could be true if part of it's being outsourced in another
yeah.
place.
And you wouldn't know. You know, you just don't know until you go to color it and then it doesn't color the same. So
Exactly. So, one of the things that really intrigued me about our first phone call when I just called you up for 5 minutes and we talked for ages was the amount of research you just absolutely hammered the internet. You were looking and looking and looking, and it like clicked with me. And I keep saying this in my interviews. I feel like this is like the hidden, or like maybe the third stage of the hair loss journey is like the education and the learning and the trying things out. And I remember you saying you had to buy quite a lot within your first year. You bought several toppers to find the one or the two.
yeah, that's very true. Fortunately, most of them I was able to send back. I have a few duds. I have one really long one that, you know, I'm never probably going to wear, but machine tied. But yeah, I think that I think there's going to be such a demand for this when people really know, because like I didn't 3 years ago, I had no idea that this was an option for me, and they've obviously been around for more than 3 years. So um, I think the information's not necessarily there. There aren't a lot of people talking about it. So I think that the more you can do to add to the space with your, you know, blogs and recordings, and
Yeah.
it's needed. People are probably looking the way I was, and we need more information.
Yeah, that's definitely the need. That's definitely the opportunity. Yeah. And another thing I always get asked the question, I always get asked like someone will put it on the website or on Facebook or something or Instagram. Can this topper be parted? Can this topper be parted with a left part or a right part? You know, my reply is always the same. I'm like, this is 100% hand tied, handmade topper. You can part this anywhere you want. So there's really no limitations. But with machine made, you can only part it if there is a hand tied portion, only on that portion. Otherwise, you're going to see a weft, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
And I would love to see more styling videos. So I'll just ask
yes,
you more
yes,
videos on how to style. And you know, we figured out the color, my stylist and I, but I don't see a lot of information on coloring, um, styling, even cutting, because the hair is different. You know, it does obviously it's very different than fine thin hair like mine. So it's the style is going to be different. The shampoo you use is going to be different. I've never had a lot of hair, so I'm not used to, how do you work with it? So I think that for people that had hair and lost hair, they probably know how to work with it better. But it's also the texture is different for the hair. So I know that there's tips and tricks and I'm figuring it out, but I feel like I would love to have more information in that area too. So
We'll get to work, Kayla. We got a lot to do, a lot of content to make. So when it comes to styling it, and first of all, A+ for taking this to your stylist and getting your stylist on board to help you get it to look right, because top is they got to blend with your bio hair. So the whole color thing, I mean, there's like a million shades of colors out there. How are we going to match it? So, what was your experience with coloring it? Did you order a lighter color or a darker color to your hair?
well, I did two. So I'm sort of close to the nutmeg rooted color, but I'm a little bit ashier. So we went lighter, and then just added the low lights, and that's worked really well.
So you made it ashier. You made the nutmeg rooted ashier, which I'm hearing everybody wants. It's never ashy enough. Get me more ash. I'm just gonna like put some like cigarette ash. No, I'm joking. I am actually gonna see if I can make an ashier brunette,
That
because
would be
that's
awesome. No one has it. I can't
no one
find it
has it.
anywhere, and especially not in the cap that you guys have. So
Mhm.
yeah, definitely a brown, but take out some of the red tones.
Yeah, I hear you. That is definitely something we're going to look at. So there's the tone, and so there's the color, which is like, okay, is it brunette? What level brunette? And then but was it blonde or was it? And then there's the tone, the warmth, the ashiness. It's a real technical thing. And then there's the cap as well. Then there's the density. You talked about the density, how too much hair doesn't work. Having less hair for more breathability, and lighter, you found helps you. And I want to reiterate something else you said several times in this interview already, which I love. You said it didn't feel like me. You said it didn't look like me, and to style and make it look like me when you went to your stylist. So is that your goal? You want to maintain the same color. You're not looking to wear pink or purple one day. You want to be consistent. Is that how it is?
Yeah, I think at this point in my life, that's what I want to do. I've decided maybe when I turn 60, I will just do whatever I want, but I'm still trying to, yeah, look like me.
I'm still trying to look like me. I love it. So in your journey of research, like can you quantify like how much research and how long it took?
It was a while ago, but I watched every YouTube video I could find for anyone with hair loss that was talking about toppers. And, there's a lot that do wigs, but I didn't want a wig. I wanted a topper. So that's a little more niche. But I mean, I would spend hours every evening looking through and trying to figure out, and then going to websites and looking at the products and just feeling like everything seemed like too much hair, or the cap seemed like I was going to feel like I was wearing a winter hat. So, but yeah, a lot of research. And I did want to mention one other thing. And now I've forgotten. All right, we'll come back to it. Sorry.
So lots of research, and I am envisioning you, like I'm like picturing you from a distance, like high up above, like third person. You're in a dark room and there's like a spotlight and you got a laptop and you're like typing away, like looking, videos popping up, and then but then zooming in on the screen, what are you really focusing on when you get to that website? Are there certain things that you look for on the website to be able to understand what the topper is to help you make a decision?
Um, I think when I started, I was trying to just figure out what color to buy.
Hmm. I see.
And I knew I wanted human hair, and not synthetic. And I was just working on color and length, and I knew I wanted a smaller cap, but I didn't really know what that was going to feel like. Um, so I think initially that's what I focused on. And then, you order your first one and you get it and you're like, what do I do with this? Like it's not, it's not going to be the right color, but it's not the right color, and you don't know how to style it. And I've probably spent 3 times the hours in trying to figure out how to style it and look the way I want it to look and sit exactly where I want it to sit. And then, talk to my hairstylist about how we're going to cut it. And that's where I've really spent the most time, I would say. The shopping part, because I can afford it, wasn't as time consuming for me. It's just kind of learning how, what the terminology is, and like, okay, what kind of do I want hand tied? Do I want Remy human hair? What do I want? And then it was like, okay, we're just going to order it and see what happens. So I think the first one I bought was, on sale for $400 or something. So it was easy to play with.
So you started by hair color, your process, the
I
Kayla
think so.
process.
Hair color and a smaller cap.
But was a hair type first or smaller cap?
Um, Probably hair color. Trying to figure out the
Yeah.
color,
Yeah.
because you guys offer a color sample that we can send, we can look at and then send back, but most companies don't do that. So,
Hmm.
and you could order the same one twice a year apart and it's going to be a different color the second time, I found out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
for
Without
reviews,
with
a lot of reviews are super helpful. People really share a lot of good information in the reviews.
Yeah, reviews are great, especially ones with pictures. If anyone wants to leave us a review, please do add pictures. We love those. It helps the community. So color hair type, and I really like how you're talking about small size caps because there is a lot of talk online about get the big cap, get the big base, get the big base, get the 7x8s, the 6x7s, the 8x10s, which 8x9, 7x8x9, 8x10. That's almost a wig, by the way. It's almost a wig, but there we're gonna make one. We're just very particular. We're gonna make a very large cap, but yeah, we've got something in the plans, but I don't put stuff out there unless it's like comfortable and looks natural. I'm not gonna. We take our time. We definitely take our time. The small base though, which I have always, I mean, look, I'm not a topper wearer. I'm a topper manufacturer and enthusiast. I love toppers. I love the design and everything of it. But just having hair all around me in my office and stuff, having a large topper with more hair with a bigger base. I'm putting my hands up, by the way. Imagine we're seeing you know like a 6 inches by whatever 8 inches, full of hair coming out, like say 14 inches hair. Imagine that on your desk or on your kitchen table, and you've never seen that before. It's really scary.
Yeah.
It's like
I
what?
think what I realized is, if you're going to wear your hair long, so if you have long hair and you're trying to replace that look and it's going to be well past your shoulders, then buy a big topper, because it sits better, right? It just you have more hair when you're wearing it long. You need more hair when you're wearing it long. If you're wearing it short, like mine is shoulder length, it just looks like too much hair. So yeah, medium. I have a medium and I do like it a lot. And we definitely cut it differently. It doesn't look as close to my look, but it's nice. But small is, I mean, I think if you're going shoulder length, which you're small, I think is longer than shoulder length, but everyone's probably going to cut that unless they've got, I don't know, maybe not everyone, but yeah. So short shoulder length, I would say go with a small.
Yeah, so we actually don't uh pre-cut anything. So the small human hair topper is 12 inches long all over. And we do it that way in case you want bangs or you don't want bangs. And so that's why it's not going to look amazing when you put it out the bag on your head. Definitely won't. I'm very honest with everyone. Once you get it styled and you learn how to style it, or go to a stylist, it's going to look amazing. But out the bag, it's not going to look good.
You know,
It
it
needs some
doesn't look
loving.
bad out of the bag. It's not bad,
Okay.
but it's probably not going to match your hair color, you know.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you get it colored, wow. Some women get away with not coloring their topper or their bio hair. They go, I think, one shade lighter with the topper, and then their bio hair is a little bit darker underneath. And some in the brunettes, the darker the brunettes can pull it off. Sorry, blondes, you have it really tough. I'm really sorry. When we have a consultation with a blonde, and it's a first time topper, I'm like, you're probably going to need to get some color done. It's just so technical because the tone of there's so many different tones of blondes. And there is one blonde who is not a topper wearer, who she's on our website. I think it's Cleo 12L. She was a model, and it actually was the same color as her hair. Like, I was like, oh my god, that was like, what? She we made her a model. She was an employee forever. Matilda, I'm so grateful for you. You're the best. I said, hey, could you put this on? And I was like, oh my god, it matches your color. That's the one in a million right there. So but coloring, yeah, because a wig, you don't need to color it, just put it on and you can go, right? So you did all this shopping, and then you went to the stylist, and then you love the small base. Also, um some small bases are not going to work for everyone because you do need enough hair. You do need enough hair to clip in. That's definitely important. So it's not for everyone. But going back to my example of like a giant like ball of hair on my desk, a smaller little cute one, it's just as a first topper. If you have enough hair to clip it on, I think it's just less intimidating. It's more like a hair addition than like a big
Yeah.
piece.
And when you look at it, it's not a lot of hair. That's true. But when you put
Yeah.
it on and combine it with your hair, and I don't have very much hair either, but you know, I have less than what there is on the small topper that is my bio hair. So when you mix the two together, it's kind of perfect.
Do you thin out the topper at all?
I
The very
don't,
small one?
not
Okay,
yours, no.
good. That's good. Has your stylist ever thinned out a topper?
Yeah, I ordered one of the, really long ones that I'll wear, someday.
Uh-huh.
And had to thin it a lot because it's a ridiculous amount of hair. So,
And how did it work thinning it out? How did the hair react after washing it?
it worked out okay. Actually the large base that I bought from you guys, the skin top,
Mm,
which
yeah.
is really nice and very light. I think we did thin that one out.
Oh, you
And
did? Okay.
yeah, and then we ended up cutting it too short. So I don't wear that one anymore, but I could. I could wear my hair shorter again. If I do, I'll wear that one. But yeah, we had to thin that out because it was too much hair.
When your stylist thinned it out, there are stylists that can do a great job thinning it out, hands down. I'm like, do it, but I'm afraid that it's going to leave spiky hairs. Did you get any spike? Did you get
No,
spiky?
it looked natural enough. We
Okay, good.
didn't thin it a lot. So I think if you thin it too much, that you would definitely get that. I could see where that would happen. This blended pretty well.
Right, right, very good. So your stylist is good because it's actually common, especially if it's hand tied, which she did. She thinned out. Yeah, one of our hand tied toppers. She's good. She's
She
got
did the
skills. She's
underneath layers, so the top layer wasn't thinned at all, so I think that top layer of
There
hair,
you go.
yeah.
Good job. Good job, hairstylist. So you live in Lake Tahoe, you've got mountains all around you, you've got snow and rock climbing, you've got this amazing hairdresser. Is this hairdresser now helping other women with toppers?
I've given her the information and I know she's given it out. She's not buying them for her clients, but she's definitely telling people that are interested. So, and I just think there's a lot more, hair loss with COVID. People lost their hair, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it's growing back as well or if it's kind of like mine where, it's not coming back the way that I hoped that it would. Maybe it still will. Um, but yeah, I think she has said she has a lot more clients that have lost hair in the last few years. So,
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot from COVID and also a lot from childbirth too.
oh yeah,
A
yeah.
lot.
Hopefully
So
that's
many
temporary.
mothers. Pardon?
Gee. Hopefully that's temporary because that's just insult to injury. I feel like, they're probably exhausted and everything else, and then they lose their hair. It's not fair.
We've now I've interviewed now, I think it's the 13th one now since we started our show, and there's a lot of stress involved in our interviewees' lives, a lot of stress. It's mind-blowing. Everyone's story is different, but there's always stress in there somewhere. There's always been some life-changing stressful moments. It's really fascinating. I really can't wait to do even more of these interviews because there's so many amazing stories. So I want to ask you for the new, God, you could give so many tips, Kayla, because you've, before I ask my question, did you say it was 3 years you've been researching and working with toppers?
I think I bought my first one maybe 2.5 years ago.
2.5 years, and you're actually really experienced. You know, you know the base materials. What how could you advise, could you give some advice if you could say three things to somebody new to wearing a topper, like what would you say so they don't have to experience buying so many and having to try them out, and like what should they look for, the do's and don'ts? Could you give us some?
Um, I'm torn between saying buy one that is cheap so you can get an idea of what you are going to do with the color and how you might want to wear it and how much hair you might want to have, versus just buying a good quality one from the get-go. I suppose it depends on your budget, but you're going to end up buying a quality one, I think, one way or the other. So either do it first and try not to make any mistakes on color or and cut, and then secondly, when you put it on, spend the time to get it where you want it to be and so that you feel comfortable, and then really have friends or family or your hairdresser or somebody tell you that it looks good. Like no one's going to be able to tell, and have them really mean it. Get it to where you put it and you feel like this is it, this is the spot. I know how to do this. I can do it this way every single day and no one's ever going to know. And then you can just have confidence and feel comfortable wearing it, because I think kind of the last thing you want is for it to be noticeable by anybody. um, and I will say that when I started wearing it, I would tell like people that I know pretty well, like, yeah, I'm wearing hair. And they would say, oh, I thought you looked a little bit different, but I didn't know what it was. Like, and they truly meant they didn't, I think it may be like when people get Botox or something, oh, you just look well rested. People, don't actually look at you that closely to say like, oh, she had less hair last time I saw her and now she's got more, what's going on. And people wear hair extensions all the time too, so I just kind of say I'm wearing hair. So I'm not saying that it's a topper versus hair extensions or whatever. So sorry, I went on a tangent. But I think, for purchasing it's gonna, you have to go lighter, right? Because you can only do low lights. You can't highlight it. So you can't buy something darker and try to highlight it successfully, from what I understand. I haven't tried it. So you're going to go lighter. You're probably going to want a little less density than you think that you want. Even though it looks really fun to have a whole big head of hair, it's probably not what you're going to want. And then I would say get the hand tied, get the hand tied one, because it's just going to feel more natural, more breathable. Um, yeah.
So I'm going to do my best to repeat that because that was wonderful.
I was all over the
Uh,
place. Sorry.
no, no, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. So you said, and correct me, please correct me if I missed something, because we want it. These are the money tips for everyone, to take home. So you said take the time when you get one and you're styling it to have people close around you to be honest and say when it looks good. Was that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And
If
then
you're
you
wearing
said,
it too far back or too far
yeah.
forward, or how you need to sit it for it to look 100% natural for you.
And before I go to the other three that you said, how do you, since we're not video, how do you choose to wear? Can you describe everyone what worked for you? Do you wear bangs? Do you not wear bangs? Do you do a
So I do
parting?
wear bangs. They're kind of swept off to the side. So I think if you wore bangs all the way across, it would be the easiest thing in the world. Because you would never have to get it in exactly the right spot. But so my part is visible. So I wear it just slightly back, and, kind of the way everybody says to wear them, just slightly behind your hairline, and then flip a little bit of your natural hair over. Um, I would love to be able to wear it back a little bit farther, but I don't have enough hair in the front really to do that. And then we cut bangs into the topper. So it's a blend of my bangs and the topper bangs. And it's pretty easy, um, once you figure it out.
Hmm. And was it scary? I keep asking you more questions. I can't help it, but this is awesome. Was it ever scary for you trying a topper? Were you ever scared and like, oh, why did I do this? I'm not going to do this, or I give up. I can't get styling right. I'm sending it back. I'm gonna. Did you ever
Yeah,
have that?
I mean, it's funny because it's like anything, one day you put on an outfit and you think it looks really great on you. And then the next day you go, why did I wear that anywhere? That looks ridiculous. So sometimes, it feels super easy and I clip it on the first time and it's perfect and I go. And then other times spend 5 minutes recurling it and, maybe adjusting it a little bit. And so, uh, I never regret that I bought it. I never regret that I'm wearing it. So it's all been it's a bonus. It's a bonus in my life all the way around.
Brilliant, brilliant. So you also said in your tips, and who knows, I may come up with another question as we're going, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying with your ultimate solutions. Okay. You said go darker. If um,
Go lighter.
go light. Oops. Thank you for correcting me. Go lighter. Tell us why again. Why go lighter than darker?
So you can only add low lights to it. You can't buy a darker piece and highlight it, um, to get your color. So you're probably going to need to go lighter unless you can match. And if you can buy I think I bought a color mat or a color ring or whatever. Um, and I was really close to that nutmeg rooted, which I bought one of, and I do like it. It's just tiny bit more red. So I decided to go light and then, low light it darker to get my exact color.
Oh wait, so you're going with like a dark blonde that you low light, right?
Yeah, well, no, it really comes out to be brown with highlights. The
But
highlights are the original color,
but the color you're buying is
blonde.
um wait, what is it? Seven. I know the number 7N8N9NR.
Yeah, for the ash. Is it the
Oh,
cafe?
oh, Coffee Dolce. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, Coffee Dolce.
yeah.
That's that. So how's the ash on that color? Is that ashy enough for you?
That it's good, but it's just way too light. So we add
Oh,
uh
okay.
like 80% of a low light, darker color, and then that 20% is that cafe dolce color that it comes in. So those are my
Hmm.
highlights.
And do you root it as well?
Yeah, root and then run it through the whole thing.
Got
Same
it. Got
color
it.
for the root and then running it through as low lights.
Got it. So go lighter. And the reason why Kayla says go lighter, because when you got hair, which is like our hair and most hair out there, it's been processed. It starts off as a very dark color and it goes through several levels of processing to get it to a nice light level to then be able to custom low light and all that and color. It's just putting the hair through a lot more work. And you could, I do have stylists that have lightened our hair and they choose to. I just say I don't recommend it because it might get drier and it won't last as long. It might break eventually. It's just a lot of strain on the hair. Did you in your search for hair, did you come across a lot of or some places that said the hair was virgin hair?
Um, yeah, there's one, and I haven't tried it because I don't like the cap construction. I'd like to try virgin hair, but your black is not virgin. Nothing's virgin, right? And yours that you guys sell?
No, we do a little bit. We add a little bit more to it. It's not a good, really good question though, right? Because why should it should be right? We wanted to keep it consistent, and we wanted to add a little bit of variation, shading, 3D. So
Okay,
there's a
so even
little bit.
black
So
has
it's not just jet black, but that I've got a lot of customers that have permed the jet black one, and they've played around with it. It's definitely going to be a lot stronger and easier, than taking a blonde piece. But there are a lot. I mean, we could talk. We're going to end very soon, but the whole virgin. There's lots of terms out there, and it's just it's difficult. I mean, there's no like international language or currency or terminology bank in the hair industry, so anyone can say anything. But what I understand as virgin is something that's never been colored before, never been treated, and if that's the case, then the colors are going to be completely different every time. There's going to be no coloring. Can't have a coloring. And I have some of that hair in something else that's not these bases. I don't advertise it, but it but you can lighten. But but stylists out there and people who want to be, hair colorists out there, just a quick thing. I'm not a stylist, but I've heard this. If you are going to color, always do a test strand first, even on bio hair too, because bio hair's been colored a lot. You don't know how it's going to react. So Kayla's top four, the number is it, I think we're on three now. Go less density than you think.
I think so, unless you're really looking to have a tremendous amount of hair or very long.
It's now becoming more popular, thank goodness, to go with lighter density. And it actually, on a manufacturing side, it's actually more difficult and takes more skill to do lighter density.
That makes sense. Well,
There's an
you're tying at all of it, so I can only imagine.
So when something has not been done well, when all of the weight is at the front and then there's like barely any hair at the back, because there is a certain amount of hair allotted, a weight per each base, right? And if the hand tied work is just going away and they're not following a diagram of how much of where to put where, then they'll run out of hair before they really get to the back, and there's only just a little bit of hair to put. So there's also the crown at the back, which also can make it look like there's a gap as well. So not to confuse things, because that can happen too. You have to style that in. But yeah, you could. There are toppers where if you do see like loads of weight in the front, that's what it is.
Wow.
So density is a real skill, an absolute skill. And the fourth tip you said get hand tied.
Yeah, I think so. Um, the cap is just going to be more comfortable. It's going to part wherever you want it to part. It's going to automatically your density is going to be reasonable because I don't think anybody's making an all hand tied 9 by 9 or whatever. So yeah, you're going to have reasonable density.
Yeah, it's actually you're right. It solves the density problem going hand tied, right? You can have a lighter density. You can style it anywhere you want, and it's going to be breathable and cooler and more comfortable. Yeah, all those things you said. And 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 I want to know, how long did it take you to get good at styling?
Um, Probably longer than anybody who's ever actually had hair and lost it. So I never had hair, so I would never use a curling iron on my hair because it was so thin. It would just, I would worry that it would break or something. So probably a while to figure it out and to like use a flat iron. I wouldn't use a flat iron on my bio hair for the same reason. But once you figure it out, then it's been figured out. And you have some good products, so it's easy to just, buy products for this type of hair. So you don't have to, everything I wear on my hair, I'm never going to use on toppers because it's exactly the opposite kind of hair. So I would say buy those products from someone that you're buying the hair from because it's going to be the best product for that hair. That'll help, right?
That was tip number five. Yes,
Right.
where that's good. Wherever you buy, I agree. Wherever you buy your hair, it's good. Especially if they believe in the hair care that they make for the topper. They've usually tested it. That's why they're saying use this, use this. There was a time when we didn't. I couldn't recommend something for our hair, and I was just like, I don't know, just use whatever. But now I can recommend. We've done lots of testing, and do you have your topper pre-styled, ready to go every day in
Yeah,
the
I
morning?
do. And I have to say, like, once you start going a little bit gray, you don't have to worry about, every 5 weeks getting your roots colored because you just throw a topper on and, your ends are not gray. Your ends last for, months and months and months. So it's pre-styled, it's ready to go. Sometimes I'll recurl, a little bit of it. I mostly am wearing it curled or wavy or something. Um, but it holds, it holds great.
So when it's pre-styled and ready to go, how long does it take you to get ready? Does it add on time to get ready, putting it on?
Less time than if I were trying to do my hair. So,
Okay,
at most maybe 5 minutes, but if I'm having a good day, maybe 2 minutes and I'm out the door. So, yeah,
amazing.
super convenient. Yeah.
Well, Kayla, you've really given massive amounts of your hours and hours of research. You've given great help out to so many people, and I'm sure so many viewers are going to get so much from this, getting to hear from your experience. If we do get a question for you in one of the chats, I'm definitely going to reach out for you, and then I'll come back and type it in because wow, what a great resource you are, and thank you so much for everything.
Of course. Good. I'm glad. I hope it helps.